Yo, what's good? It's Skano. Right quick before I touch on this Angela Stone issue. If you have issues with somebody, why are do you really think it's wise to let it be known? I'm saying outside of with that individual. If you gonna confront them head up. But as far as speaking to other people or putting it on social media in a roundabout way so it get back to them, is that really smart? So if you don't even have to let that individual know. If it's a problem that requires some extreme, you know, resolution, I wouldn't even let that individual know. They wouldn't know until the time come, if we pass talking. I would think that's common sense, but woo-woo. So Columbia-born soul icon and songwriter, Angela Stone, was killed in a car accident. Her Stryker van, from what I understand, was struck by, an 18-wheeler after it had flipped over on the highway. She was, accompanied by, multiple other people, I believe 8 other people. But she was the only one that passed away, as I understand it. So from what I understand, the vehicle flipped over. Don't know exactly what caused that accident initially, but the van flipped over and it was struck by a semi, But from what I understand, she wasn't wearing a seatbelt and she was ejected. So I'm not sure if she was killed, during the initial. They say she wasn't yet, unalive until after the 18-wheeler. So I'm assuming she was probably in the roadway after the ejection. But who knows, man? Grisly details. Hell of a way to go, but we all gotta go. But funny thing, she was having some issues with Universal Records. She had recently, been on social media, discussing royalties not being appropriated correctly or promptly or whatever. In other words, money problems, money issues. And like most of a majority of these artists, particularly the ones from back in the day, they get tied up in these contracts, man. And like Prince was saying, and, other artists who have spoken out and mysteriously just come up unalived. Speaking about owning royalties, your own name and rights to your music and your art, and how these record labels basically slave out these artists. So, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, not at all. But I tell you what, man, I do find it eerily, coincidental that she beefing with this record label, or at least she's speaking on the issues that's going on as far as being, crooked out her royalties. And lo and behold, she ends up killed in a car accident. Now, do I believe the powers that be was involved in this in some nefarious way, caused this out? Who knows? Who's to say? And it sound way out there, but it always sound way out there until you find out it's true. And I'm just saying, who's to say they couldn't have a, auto technician screw around with that Stryker van and just loosen up the tire rod bolt. She on the freeway high speed, and all of a sudden the tire rod go out, the van flip over. They say she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. What if they manipulated the mechanical, what if they fucked around with the seatbelt and made it inoperable properly? and it just so happened to not function the way it should when this accident occurred. I mean, yeah, it sounds way out there, and I'm pretty sure this is just coincidence. And, you know, when it's your time, it's your time, you know. But, man, I do find it odd that every time, not every time, but a lot of times, you know, with Michael Jackson, you know, Prince, like I said, they get to speaking on, you know, the dark underside of the music industry and how these labels will screw you over and how it's all, you know, obviously set up, you know, to pimp out the artist for as long and as much as possible. You know, these new wave artists, they hip to the game now. You know, they more on point when it comes to owning rights and royalties. But as far as the older artists, especially when you're talking about MJ, Prince, worth millions upon millions, and they just end up, I mean, hey, maybe it was their time, but I just find it, you know, a hell of a coincidence, you know. So, RIP to Angie Stone, you know, condolences to her family. And, you know, I'm not putting this out there to, you know, throw salt in the wounds of her family and friends. You know, like I said, man, I just find this a very odd coincidence, you know. But, and along with a lot of these, you know, drill artists also, when they own your name, you know, not own your name, but basically when you sign that contract and they own the rights to it, you know, and you start putting out a catalog, whatever happened to you after that point, because if they own the catalog, they gonna make money regardless whether you hear or not. And we know when people pass away, them numbers will turn up. So honestly, they don't give a crap if the artist pass. You know, obviously they want to pimp you long as possible, but if you got an extensive catalog, you know, people like Drake who want to beef with these labels, be careful, dog. You know, you fuck around and you come up not being, you know, come up missing till you found. But it is what it is. R.I.P. Angie Stone. 216 Skano. You already know.